To cut my heart in half on each side.
Yeah.
See how it's about equally thick, kind of like hamburger patty thickness in terms of like buns, right? Okay. When you try to lift it up, you have a sulcus here that won't let you lift it up. So you'll have to cut down this sulcus too, okay? Then you'll be able to open up the heart and look inside it. Ooh, heart's upside down. Okay, better. All right, so now what you see is the tip of the heart. See how thick the walls are of the left ventricle. Can you guys see how thick that is?
Left ventricle.
See the thinner right ventricle walls? So when the heart is open, you don't even have to think. The left ventricle, thick walls. The right ventricle, thin walls, right? Okay? Inside the spaces are ventricles. Between the atria up here and the ventricles are valves. Do you see a valve? This is the, how many flaps? Bicuspid valve. And these are those, remember the chordae tendineae? Chordae tendineae. Okay? And they're attached to what kind of muscles? Papillary muscles. Yeah, on both sides. The tricuspid is right here. There's a piece and a papillary muscle. There's another papillary muscle and another flap right here. And then there's another flap here and a papillary muscle. So I've kind of like split that valve. I've blown that valve apart into 3 pieces. But you can still see all 3 pieces. 1, 2, with my fingers, and 3 right over there. Okay? So there were 3 flaps that came together. I just have 2 hands. But anyway, that came together every time that blood got pushed down, and then closed to keep the blood in that ventricle before it's going to get pushed out to the pulmonary trunk. And there's still chordae tendineae on this side and papillary muscles, but they're smaller. Everything is thinner on this side because it doesn't have to push as far, right? You saw how far that is in the cat. The lungs are like right there. So it's much lower pressure than it is to push to the entire system. Okay? What's the name of the thing between ventricles that separates the red side from the blue side? It's called the interventricular septum. This myocardium is in here, interventricular septum. Okay? So those are the rest of the parts you need to know, and they're not really that hard if you remember the stuff that we did for your exam, right? So interventricular septum, let me pin it like this, all right? Left ventricle, right ventricle. That's the ventricle, that's the ventricle. Mitral valve, 44. Mitral valve, that's the actual valve, okay, like this. What are the heartstrings called? Chordae tendineae, for 45. So the heartstrings are chordae tendineae. And you can do the same thing on the other side. I'm just going to do, because of the pins, one side. And then what are the muscles called that the heartstrings are attached to? These big muscles, finger-like? Papillary muscles. Exactly. The little bumpy muscles. They're easier to see down here, but I'm pinning them on the top because of the heart.